All right, I am here with my friend Mary Hinton, who I have known since early days at GNUUC, and she has very kindly agreed to spend some time with me, which I'm looking forward to because I haven't seen her in person for a good long time. So, Mary, my first question for you is, what is something you have loved about your time at GNUUC?
Well, there are many things I have loved. I was born and raised Unitarian in the Toledo, Ohio church, and it has been so meaningful, so important to me to have raised my two children in the Unitarian church. A little while ago, my son said that many of his friends were having religious identity crises, and he was so grateful that he did not have to go through that. And that meant so much to me.
Oh, yeah.
The children's RE and the youth RE is just so great and so important. I've loved the church retreats, and I miss them so much. An opportunity for people to get away for a whole weekend and just have a great time together. I have enjoyed the choir very, very much and have missed it a great deal. I've been really fascinated by the discussions about governance policy and learning what that means. I think it's a very difficult model. It's so much easier to have leadership at the top and just be told what to do. But I think for the future of the world, with all these billions of people living on the earth, the governance policy model is what we have to learn to do. So I've just always appreciated the Unitarian Church in particular, and ours specifically, to be around leaders who instinctively seem to know the right next thing to do. And I really admire that. I had worked on the search committee, and that was a great honor for me. We were on that together.
Me too. Yep.
And then finally, the women's group. And that's our name, just the women's group. There are 10 of us, and I've been in it for about 2 years now. And it's a remarkable group, and I just love being a part of it.
Yeah.
At GNUUC.
I've had the chance to interview a couple women from the group, and everyone has said what joy and connection it has brought to their lives, especially during this time. So I'm so glad you all figured out how to make it work virtually.
Yes. And it, might be an avenue for other interest groups to come together.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. And I will also say I've been so grateful because you have actually made connections with my kids through RE, and especially my youngest, who just thinks that you are such a loving, wonderful, supportive presence. So thanks for what you've done to help make the RE program fantastic, because I appreciate you very, very much. Yeah. Do you have a favorite tradition from GNUUC? Or maybe a couple? I don't know.
Well, the one I will mention is the Christmas Eve service.
Oh, yeah.
I've just always loved it. The music, how not I, but others have expanded the music through the years, just adding more instruments, adding the bell choir, the adult choir singing, the candles, reading Mike's Christmas story.
Yeah.
And going out to dinner afterwards. And it was an older friend of mine named Marion who took me out for a birthday dinner many years ago, shortly after I was divorced.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know how she knew that that was just a loving, friendly thing to do for somebody else. But later that year, then she continued it, and we went out for Christmas Eve dinner, and then it just grew from there. And I hope that the tradition will continue. So
I'm so glad you told the story, because I knew the where the tradition came from, and I think it's just such a great thing that you have helped make sure that it continues. And I think it's important to know the story of just reaching out to each other, especially around the holidays where it's tough for so many folks.
yep.
It was a good one. How about anything during the pandemic, anything surprising or joyful you have realized or discovered or learned?
I am really proud of the UUA and of our congregation for realizing early on that the pandemic was very serious and just immediately going to virtual services.
Yeah.
I think the consistent high number of people who attend on Sunday mornings is just amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it's been very difficult. Nobody wants it to be that way. We're all looking forward to it ending, but I haven't heard any complaining about it. It's just, people have realized that was what we needed to do, and we've all done that. I'm grateful to the people with the technical expertise who could make it happen and continue to make it happen. And I know just hours and hours of planning must go into each service, and all I have to do is log on a Sunday morning. But that's been something that makes me proud about how Unitarians think.
Yeah.
And then the other thing about this year is just the opportunity to go to the garden. Back in March and April, I started pulling weeds in the garden, and it was never a concern to go there during this pandemic year. It's a safe place, both in terms of COVID and physical safety, just being there in the garden.
Right.
And the gratifying thing is that when you ask for help comes, and volunteers have come and helped in the garden. I think people are genuinely interested in the garden and what it means to people and what the future of it is. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute.
Okay. I do feel like we've heard from so many people, some people that hadn't been back there before, how grateful they are for that space. And when they go the first time, they're so amazed at all the good work that you all have done. I mean, it's just really, really amazing. So thank you for the leadership you've shown there. And I want to know more about whatever you want to share about the garden.
It's been such a learning experience for me, just from uncovering plants and trying to identify them. The garden plants that have been there for years. And labeling them, just learning about gardening. I started reading books, but one book led to another, and I've just really enjoyed it. There's such a gardening covers so much territory.
Right.
There's home gardens and flower gardens and native gardens and memorial gardens. And it's just been a great learning experience for me. It's a great source of hope. I'm going to be moving to Colorado in a few weeks, and I hope that the care and the interest in the garden will continue, and I'm sure it will. I'm not sure what it looks like, and I just won't be able to be hands-on with it, but
Right.
it's a great source of hope. There are so many books out there. I encourage anybody to just go and start reading some of these books, and then that leads to networking. It's, in my case, led to networking with other naturalists and gardeners in Nashville, in the area, and that's been very gratifying. I joined a group called Wild Ones, whose mission is to promote native gardens and sustainable gardens, and that was my focus with our garden.
Yeah.
And then that led to Zoom meetings with the Southern Kentucky chapter of Wild Ones, and there's a chapter in Chattanooga, which is very active, and then I've heard about the Colorado chapters, which are very active. So this great network that is out there, and I'm just finding it really, really fascinating and meaningful to me, as something that I can do to make the world a better place.
Right.
Our garden, to me, is still so mysterious, and when I go there, I wonder who lives here.
Right.
I love the centipedes that I found in the warm months, and the snake that Sandy found, and the turtle that the girls found. We've seen deer. I've seen a coyote there.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, great.
Hawks and all kinds of birds. And as people come together with their knowledge about birds and plants, there's the opportunity, I think, in our community to build a huge database, both organized and unorganized, of everybody's knowledge about the garden, and where it will go from here.
And I think your point about it's not just a beautiful garden space, it's a memorial garden for our congregation as well. And I don't know where I'll be in hopefully 100 years when it's time for my ashes to go somewhere, but I think you've done such a fantastic job leading in setting the tone of it's a shared space, but also a sacred space in a special way. So thank you for the thought and the time you've put into that.
Thank you.
Yeah. You really, I think you've set it up perfectly. This, my last question for you, as you've talked about learning about the different groups and different connections. So for someone new coming into GNUUC, do you think there's an efficient or a clear path for folks to be able to connect with other congregants?
Well, exactly what you're doing. I've enjoyed the video interviews you've done in the past, and that is just a great idea. You are such a natural host. Thank you for doing this, and someone should interview you, put you on the other side, because you are just such a friendly and outgoing person. But I would encourage anybody to volunteer, and even during these days when we're not meeting in person yet, I think there are lots of opportunities in the garden to volunteer with buildings and grounds.
Oh, yeah.
And any of the committees, finance committee always appreciates, just the extra help and interest, and worship committee, auction committee. The congregation does so much. To people can volunteer with children's religious education, to be a online teacher. I'm grateful to anyone who writes a blog about the garden.
Oh, yeah.
The
Yeah.
newsletter.
You've gotten some great stuff from folks for that.
Oh, wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
Wonderful stuff. People continuing to care for the garden, just to be out there. I mean, it's easy to socially distance and to get a lot done. And really, in another month, it will be time to get back out there.
Yay, spring.
And then, finally, something I've just really become aware of, been paying attention to, is the UU Ministry for Earth. And it's been around for many years, actually. They have some very interesting programs, and I'm going to look into them more for myself, because I see it as kind of a natural path for me to go down.
Right.
And I just recently got an email that they are offering upcoming virtual sessions on climate justice, and they're doing it in partnership with a UU Black, Indigenous, People of Color caucus.
Oh, that's great.
To look at these issues. And, I think it's a great opportunity for people who would like to be active in the movement, to reach out through the structure of the UUA and, get active and do good work that way.
Right. And you also mentioned early on about the choir and the choir, and that's one of the ways that I started making connections too. So you're right. There are pretty much, people can just pick their preferences and their talents, and there's a way to connect.
Yes, I guess. How do you motivate a person to reach out? Well, hopefully that's what we're doing, and through the Sunday services and information on the website, people can just reach out and ask, who do I talk to, and they'll get directed to somebody that will get them included.
Right. Always the goal. We are a very welcoming congregation. I will say, from not having, I guess we're going on our 6th year of being members, but from the very days. And you have always been, you were one of those people that offered to help with the kids so that I could enjoy the service in those very early days. And just that loving offer has always meant so much to me. So thank you, Mary, very, very much for making time to do this. I'm so glad to see your face and to get to visit with you. And you've given great insight. And I know that you know how much I love you, and that's what matters. So.
Oh, thank you, Jenny. It's been great to see your face and to talk with you, and love you too. Thank you so much for all that you do.